All right, this passage is a little bit long-winded way of conveying a pretty simple idea, which is that if you've never had something, and especially if you don't know what it would be like to have that thing, it becomes very difficult to really truly understand what it means to not have it, right? And that sort of seems counterintuitive, because you think to yourself, well, there's all sorts of things that I don't have, like, I don't have a Lamborghini, and I know what my life is like without a Lamborghini. I have to drive super slow, it's very boring, like, that's not cool. Sure, but even then, to a certain extent, if you've never really had a Lamborghini, you've never owned one and driven it around all the time, you don't really know what parts of your life would be impacted by it. So sure, maybe you could drive faster sometimes, but most of the roads you drive on are 35 miles an hour anyway, so you're not going to drive that fast. And so it's hard to tell really like exactly what it is that's different. However, there are some things where it's very easy to tell. So for example, this thing brings up the example of a blind person, okay? You and I, if we can see, we can look around, we can open our eyes, we can see stuff. And then we can close our eyes and we can say, okay, this is what it's like to not be able to see. And you could, if you wanted to, try to walk down a hallway or walk around outdoors. I mean, I don't recommend this, really. But the whole bird box thing, and you've got all these ideas of what is it really like to not be able to see, to not be able to interact with your environment with sight. And we can actually imagine that because we can have sight and we know what that's like. And then we can close our eyes and we know what that's like. And it's two different things. But then, again, it brings up this concept of scent, right? And scent blindness. Now, that's just a word that he made up, right? But with scent, again, we haven't had it. This is even further than the Lamborghini, okay? Because at least a Lamborghini, you have an idea, right? Maybe you've seen an advertisement, you've heard it talked about, you've seen it in a movie or something. You have some vague idea of what it might be like to have a Lamborghini, but you have no idea what it would be like to have scent. No idea at all. It's beyond our actual understanding, because we can kind of make it up. We can say, okay, well, it's probably something like scent, but better. But that's just a guess, and we really have no real, direct idea. We have no experience with it. Therefore, we can't just, plug our nose and say, oh, this must be what it's like to be scent blind. That's what it's like to be maybe, smell blind. Okay, so if you can't smell stuff, that's actually a thing, and, a medical thing. It happens to some people. But scent blind is a totally different thing, because we don't have scent. It's only dogs that have that. And that's the idea that this author is trying to get at, right? Some things you can pretend to yourself, what would it be like if I didn't have this experience, or I didn't have this object, I didn't have this thing? But other things you really, really cannot. And scent blindness is one of those things where we really can't. You just don't know. So, armed with that understanding, if you have any questions, ask your instructor. Armed with that understanding, let's tackle the next questions.